There are battles the world applauds and battles it never sees. For decades, Angelina Jolie stood beneath Hollywood's brightest lights, a woman of fierce beauty, razor-sharp charisma, and a presence that commanded entire rooms. To millions, she was untouchable, an Oscar winner, a humanitarian crossing war zones, a symbol of elegance shaped from both fire and grace. But behind the cameras, behind the carefully framed photographs and red carpet poise, lived a truth far heavier. A quiet struggle she carried long before the media learned to speak her name with reverence. In 2013, the world was stunned when she revealed she had undergone a preventive double mastectomy. It was not a decision born from fear, but from legacy. The legacy of a mother lost too soon, and a genetic threat that hung over her life with relentless certainty. The gene she carried increased her cancer risk to nearly 87%, a number sharp enough to cut through every illusion of glamour. Her wealth, estimated at over $100 million, offered comfort but not immunity. Fortune could soften the path, but it could not rewrite her bloodline. Inside her home during those months, the light changed. Curtains stayed half drawn. Conversations grew softer. Nights stretched longer than the days. It was a private war waged in silence. A woman choosing to reshape her future before fate could shape it for her. But what else was hidden behind that choice? What quiet fears did she lock away from the world? And how does someone viewed as unbreakable endure a battle no one ever bothered to imagine? How can a figure so luminous be living through a darkness the world never dared to see? Before the world spoke her name with awe, Angelina Jolie was simply a girl born into contradiction, raised between the glamour of Hollywood and the quiet ache of emotional distance. Born in Los Angeles in 1975, the daughter of actor Jon Voight and actress Marceline Bertrand, she grew up surrounded by the mythology of fame, yet deeply familiar with its fractures. Her parents separated when she was a child, leaving her with a longing for stability she never fully found. But it was in that longing that something extraordinary began to grow. A fire, a defiance, a hunger to feel everything the world told her to suppress. At 16, she entered the world of acting, raw, unpolished, and unapologetically intense. Casting directors didn't just notice her, they felt her. There was a danger in her eyes, a vulnerability beneath the sharp edges, a mystery that refused to be neatly defined. By the late 1990s, she had become Hollywood's most electrifying new force, delivering performances that seemed carved from her own wounds. Her roles in Girl, Interrupted, Gia, and The Bone Collector revealed a rare gift, the ability to inhabit a character not as a mask, but as an extension of her own restless spirit. In 2000, she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, a moment that marked her transition from rising talent to undeniable phenomenon. And when she stepped into the role of Lara Croft, she transformed from acclaimed actress to global icon. Applause followed her relentlessly. Red carpets bowed beneath her presence. Photographers learned to anticipate the tilt of her chin, the stillness in her gaze. But beneath the brilliance, contradictions deepened. Fame granted her power, yet amplified her isolation. Success lifted her higher, yet distanced her from the world she longed to understand. The woman adored on magazine covers was the same woman who often spoke about feeling lost, searching for meaning in a life defined by spectacle. And in those years of cinematic triumph, a quieter story was already beginning. The story of a woman who would eventually walk away from the flashes of Hollywood towards something far more complex, far more personal. But behind the roaring applause, another narrative, silent, piercing, was preparing to unfold. By the early 2000s, Angelina Jolie had everything the world admires: fame, beauty, recognition, a career carved from intensity and instinct. Yet behind the dazzling premieres and rehearsed interviews, she carried a heaviness that rarely reached the surface. Her public smile remained calm, composed, deliberate. But in private, another voice spoke louder, a quiet dread shaped by her mother's long battle with cancer, a grief that lingered like an echo she could never outrun. After becoming a mother herself, first through adoption, later through childbirth, something shifted. The woman once known for her rebellious spirit grew quieter, more introspective. Home became a refuge, not a mansion filled with extravagance, but a sanctuary she shaped for her children, with soft lamps, warm wood, and hallways where their laughter softened the shadows in her mind. She read to them before bed. She stayed awake long after midnight, listening to the rhythm of their breathing, as though memorizing the sound in case life separated them too soon. But beneath the tenderness lay fear, a scientific certainty that her own life was at risk. Genetic testing revealed the presence of the BRCA1 mutation, the same gene that had stalked the women in her family for generations. Doctors spoke gently, carefully, but the implications were sharp as glass. Her risk of breast cancer was overwhelming. Her risk of ovarian cancer was devastatingly high, and so she retreated deeper into solitude, weighing decisions that would shape her future and the future of her children. Publicly, she was a UN ambassador traveling through war zones, standing with refugees, meeting world leaders. Privately, she was a woman mapping the fragile line between survival and sacrifice. She met with genetic counselors, surgeons, and specialists in dimly lit offices where diagrams replaced scripts and percentages replaced dreams. Her home felt quieter during those months, windows half closed, phones silenced, time stretching and thinning like a thread pulled too tight. Friends noticed the difference, a slowness in her movements, a focus in her gaze, a softness in her voice that did not come from calm, but from carrying too much in silence. And it was in that silence, thick, heavy, unbroken, that her next chapter took shape, a chapter not of fame, but of fear, and a decision that would change everything. The day Angelina Jolie chose surgery was not marked by dramatic music or flashing cameras. It was marked by silence, a silence so deep it felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, aware that one decision would alter not just her life, but the lives of her children. In early 2013, she began a series of procedures few in her position would ever speak about, let alone undergo. It was a preventive double mastectomy, a medical decision made with the cold precision of statistics and the warm desperation of a mother who refused to let history repeat itself. The hospital lights were dim, the corridors quiet. Nurses whispered with deliberate gentleness. She arrived without fanfare, without entourage, without the elegance the world was accustomed to seeing in her. Underneath the gown, her body trembled, not from fear of pain, but from the weight of what she was choosing to give up in exchange for more time with her children. The surgery lasted hours. The recovery lasted months. But the emotional distance between who she was before and who she became after stretched even further. In those weeks of healing, her home felt suspended in time. Curtains stayed drawn to soften the morning sun. Her children tiptoed through rooms with the innocence of those who sense something is wrong but cannot name it. Angelina sat in bed, wrapped in blankets, the soft hum of medical machines replacing the applause she once heard on global stages. She hid her tears. She hid her discomfort. She hid the fear that lingered like an unwelcome shadow. The media never saw this part. They never saw the swelling, the sleepless nights, the scar tissue that throbbed under the weight of uncertainty. They saw only the headline months later. Angelina Jolie reveals double mastectomy. The world read it in shock, some in admiration, others in confusion, none understanding the magnitude of the storm she had weathered alone. But it wasn't just surgery. It wasn't just a medical choice. It was a declaration. A quiet, fierce vow that she would not let the past claim her the way it claimed the women before her. And yet beneath that courage lay a haunting truth. Even the strongest women fight battles the world never sees. Angelina Jolie's decision to reveal her surgery in May 2013 did more than surprise the world. It reframed the conversation around women's health, celebrity vulnerability, and the quiet wars fought behind closed doors. Yet even as applause poured in, admiration flooded media outlets, and medical communities praised her transparency, much of her personal journey remained hidden. The world saw the headline. It never saw the cost. Her fortune, estimated at over $120 million, came under a different kind of scrutiny after her announcement. Analysts debated the influence of her revelation on global health awareness. advocacy groups hailed her courage as potentially life-saving for millions. But behind the scenes, her wealth functioned not as luxury, but as armor, a means to secure the best medical care, the most trusted professionals, the safest future for her children. In a world where fame offers little protection from fear, her resources became the silent foundation of her survival. During this period, her home transformed into a space caught between recovery and reinvention. Soft lamps glowed late into the night. Medical documents filled quiet corners of her study. The walls of the house absorbed conversations about risk, genetics, and the fragility of time. Photographs of her mother sat near her bedside, reminders of the battle she refused to inherit without resistance. And while the world celebrated her strength, few understood the psychological toll stitched beneath the surface. The surgery had changed not only her body, but her relationship with identity, femininity, and the role she was expected to play in the public eye. She stepped onto red carpets again, elegant and poised, but carrying a history that no dress or makeup could erase. Every flash of a camera was a reminder of what she survived and what she chose to sacrifice to stay alive. Then came a second decision, one she disclosed quietly in 2015, the removal of her ovaries and fallopian tubes to further reduce her cancer risk. It was another life-altering procedure, another chapter the media never fully understood. The world saw the announcement. It never saw the nights she lay awake weighing motherhood against mortality, legacy against loss. Professionally, her influence expanded. She directed films, advocated for refugees, and reshaped her public image from Hollywood rebel to global humanitarian. Yet even in success, the mystery deepened. People wondered how she sustained such resilience, how she navigated a future forged by medical necessity, how she carried the memories of what she lost, and the future she fought to protect. In the years that followed, her separation from Brad Pitt added another layer of complexity. Legal documents, custody battles, and public speculation clouded her world once again. But through every storm, one truth remained. She kept moving, not with the loud confidence of a celebrity, but with the quiet determination of someone who had faced the possibility of her own absence and refused to surrender. Today, Angelina's legacy is not simply her films, her awards, or her fortune. It is the hidden strength of a woman who confronted fate before fate confronted her. A woman who chose knowledge over fear. A woman who allowed the world to see her scars, not as weaknesses, but as proof of survival. Her story remains a reminder that some battles are not fought on screens, in theaters, or under bright lights, but in silence, in private rooms, in the fragile space between fear and hope. 6. In the end, Angelina Jolie's story is not defined by beauty, fame, or even the global admiration that has followed her for decades. It is defined by a war waged in silence, a battle against fate, against fear, against a genetic shadow that threatened to steal her future. The world saw the courage in her announcement, but it never truly grasped the quiet devastation that shaped every step leading to it. Her life became a tapestry woven between two worlds, the world of dazzling premieres and political diplomacy, and the world of hushed hospital rooms, genetic reports, and whispered prayers beside her children's beds. The media captured her elegance, but rarely the tenderness. They highlighted her fame, but overlooked her fragility. They documented her transformation, but never the moments where she stood alone at midnight, hand pressed against her healing scars, wondering what parts of herself she had lost and what parts she had saved. But perhaps that is the paradox of her legacy. She remains both visible and hidden, powerful and vulnerable, iconic and intensely human. Her influence stretches far beyond cinema. It reaches into homes, into hospital rooms, into the hearts of women who saw in her decision not a celebrity headline, but permission. Permission to confront fear, to demand answers, to fight for life. So what, then, is the true inheritance of Angelina Jolie's hidden battle? Is it the awareness she raised, the lives her honesty may have protected, or the reminder that even the strongest among us carry storms the world will never fully see? In the softest truth lies the greatest revelation. Le silence ne tue pas la mémoire. Il la purifie. Silence does not kill memory. It purifies it. And within that silence, her story continues. Steady, luminous, unbroken.